The UK property market is enjoying a boom right now, and the recent extension to the stamp duty holiday could see prices continue to rise over the next few months. Well, let's have a chat with Graham Taylor from Hudson Rose Mortgage Brokers in Nailsworth. Very happy to take your calls and your questions this afternoon, whether it's mortgages or insurance advice. Graham, how are you? The last time we spoke, you'd just moved house. Are you all settled now?
I'd like to hi first of all. Faye. Yeah, I'd like to say we're all sorted, and all the pictures are up. We've had a fun week painting this week.
Ooh.
So yeah, because we're quite colourful people. Probably,
no.
As you're yeah. Who'd have thunk it, eh?
Graham, who is now sporting, the last time I saw you, a pink Mohican. No, it's a peroxide Mohican. Is that correct?
It is peroxide, yeah, and I'm actually going to have it. I'm actually having it dyed rainbow by a local by Candy in Nailsworth. Have offered to dye it rainbow for me, so that's cool. But we had the decorator in this week, and my wife and I had these big plans of how we wanted it to look. And we got the paints and we got all these things, and we left and we came back from work, and the decorator, who's amazing, Jenny, had put all these paints, and it was neon.
Oh, what? Is that what you wanted? Graham's gone. Graham's gone. We're having a few tech problems this morning, so we're going to try and reconnect with Graham on Zoom in a few minutes' time. Good afternoon, 18 minutes past 12, and we're chatting to Graham Taylor from Hudson Rose Mortgage Brokers in Nailsworth. There's lots to get through, actually, but more importantly, we were just hearing about Graham's just moved house, and your line dropped out, so we've got you on the phone now, Graham. So just it's a bit of a cliffhanger there. So you got back, you've moved into this new house, paint job, got back from work, and it's neon. Is that not what you wanted on your walls?
Not exactly. I mean, it was me fainting. The line didn't go down. It was the thought of all that neon. I just couldn't take it. And I'm back. But no, it was. Have you seen? Your listeners, or you may have seen the episode of Only Fools and Horses, where he paints the takeaway with the paint that he gets from, and he paints it neon yellow.
Yes.
It doesn't look neon yellow. I mean, it wasn't quite that bad. So when we chose it, it wasn't neon pink, but because of the way the light bounced around inside the house, it was fine in the morning and it was fine in the mid-afternoon. But when it got to sort of when the sun started to set a bit and it sort of the light went, it just started to glow. And,
oh no! Are you going to keep it?
Oh, well, we changed it. That was it. So we had the decorator. She came back the next day and we're like, I think we've made a mistake. And she was so understanding, said, this happens all the time, don't worry. So we've changed the colours. It's still colourful. It's still a pink and things, but less highlighter, more subtle.
Okay, we're going to get down to business in a minute, but here's another question about moving house. Now, I've lived in 9 rentals in Gloucestershire, and I've done this a few times, but I saw an old neighbour doing this on Friday. Cut a long story short, our neighbour has just moved house, and I was thinking about him the other day. I was like, I must just text him, see if he's moved okay. Anyway, just as I was thinking that, walking my daughter to school, I saw my neighbour, and I said, all right, what are you doing here? And he said, I've forgotten where I live.
No.
Yes. He's driving home to his old house. Have you done that yet, Graham?
I haven't done that yet, but I have heard of other people doing something similar. Like taking the usual route home from work. Well, you go into autopilot, don't you?
Well, of course you do. He dropped the kids off and he was going home.
Yeah, so I'd be okay if I did go home because I'm still in Minchinhampton, so I'd probably
that's all right.
Touch wood. So far, I haven't gone into my old house or knocked on the door and said the key doesn't work or something like that.
Well done. Right then, there is so much to talk about, and we are getting questions through. So let's get on with this. Let's start at the top then. There's been, and we touched on this last time you were on the programme, there's been an extension on stamp duty. So how long is this for?
So it's going until the end of June in its current form. So that's the £500,000 limit. So they basically made 0% stamp duty up to £500,000 until the end of June. And then they're tapering it off to £250,000, I believe, to the end of October. Don't quote me on that. I always get a bit fuzzy because it's always changing. But it's after October, it will go back to the normal stamp duty rules. So there's a big rush at the moment for people to try and complete before the end of June on the 1st of July. Because that is where up to £500,000 in purchase price, there is no stamp duty payable at all.
Okay. I started off by saying there's a property market boom at the moment. So just so it sounds like I know what I'm talking about on the school run, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market?
Well, this is obviously more of an estate agent's view, I suppose. But we speak to agents a lot. We work very closely with them, and they are saying to me at the moment there is a lack of stock. So that would suggest it's very much a seller's market because there's lots of people out there wanting to buy. I'm told outside space is a bit of a premium. We're certainly dealing with a lot of clients coming out of the cities, so things like Bristol into the sort of the Stroud area where we're based, and also London as well. You know, that's always people. Somebody told me the other day 700,000 people have left London in the last 12 months or something. I don't know if that's
no
true.
way. They've all moved to Gloucestershire. Oh no!
They've all moved to there. They've all moved to Stroud, and we're doing their mortgage. No, not at all. But there is. It does seem to be there's not a lot coming on the market, and the agents that we work with that we know are sort of crying out for stock. So I think it is very much a seller's market at the moment.
House prices, lovely stat here, have climbed by 2.1% in the last month. So that is great news, isn't it, if you're thinking about selling?
Great if you're thinking about selling, less great if you're thinking about buying, especially if you're first-time buyers, because obviously it just means they've moved slightly out of reach. Because if you're already on the ladder, if you already got a property and you're going to move, then as long as everything goes up together and goes down together and you know, you're not in a property that all of a sudden becomes out of favour, then you're kind of okay because it's sort of, you know, the same, you go with it. But it is difficult if you're not on in the property market, if you're renting, if you're a first-time buyer, because obviously as those house prices sneak up, unfortunately wages haven't really gone with them, have they? So it is trickier.
Yeah, it's all relative, and like you say, if you're not already on the property ladder, it's a huge leap, isn't it? There is good news about the and we touched again on this last time we spoke. The 95% mortgage is back on the market. So what does that mean exactly?
It is 95% mortgages are back. You can tell. I mean, tell how sad I am. I get so excited about these things. Right? So,
you sound like a voiceover guy. That is, it's back.
It's like the X Factor. I should have like 95. No, but it is because historically you could always buy a property if you had 5% deposit, so 5% of the purchase price, and then about this time last year, when things started getting a little bit worrying, those mortgage rates disappeared, and actually even 10% deposit mortgages, so 90% loan to value stuff, disappeared as well, and that started to come back about 2 or 3 months ago. However, the government announced in their budget that they were going to help kickstart the higher loan-to-value market, so the market for people with smaller deposits. And they've done that by basically coming out with a fancy scheme that I can't go into fully on here because it's way above my pay grade, but they're going to underwrite some of the risk for lenders if lenders are adversely affected by people defaulting on mortgages that are higher loan-to-value. So they've given lenders confidence to offer these interest rates again. And we've seen we've done a lot of 95% lending over the last few weeks. Lots of first-time buyers. You've got the big guns in there, Santander and HSBC and all these guys doing these 95% mortgages that are government-backed. But also, interestingly, we've had lenders that aren't using the government-backed scheme come back and offer 95% mortgages as well. So
right.
It's a 95% mortgage party, I'll be honest with you, Faye, and everyone's invited.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, Graham, you stay there. We're going to chat a bit more in a bit about whether you're self-employed and what on earth do you do to get everything together, ready and prepared for a mortgage if you're thinking about buying this year. And we've got questions coming in for Graham as well. It's not too late to get your question in if you want any advice on mortgages or insurance advice. Go West, king of wishful thinking on BBC Radio Gloucestershire. Well, what a gorgeous day today. Staying dry and mild throughout the day with cloud-free skies and plenty of sunshine. Winds will be light. Temperatures between 15 and 18 degrees Celsius. Pollen count is high today. We're speaking to Graham Taylor from Hudson Rose Mortgage Brokers in Nailsworth. We've just been hearing that Graham himself, I mean, the irony, has just moved house. Graham is with us now. And thank you so much for your calls today. We have had a call and a question from Claire in Gloucester. And just to say, Claire, thank you so much for your question. You need to speak to an investment advisor. I'm not going to read your whole question out, but that's who you need to speak to. So anyway, Graham is here. Graham, historically, is this a good time of year to buy or sell your house anyway?
Well, yeah, historically. But history's kind of gone out the window, hasn't it, over the last 18 months? Yeah, whatever. You know, it all happens now, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, the spring market which is where we are, was always kind of, buoyant, because people come out of hiding in winter and, new life and all that kind of stuff. And you think, yeah, now's the time to move, get the house on the market, you've tidied up and recovered after Christmas and all that. So historically, yes. And, we are seeing a boom at the moment, but it is very busy in terms of people going for property and bidding on property. And, we have clients that miss out on things and all sorts. So it's kind of more than a normal spring. And it'll be interesting to see what happens as we go into the summer, because, the summer holidays when the schools are off is traditionally a little bit quieter. And it picks up again kind of September, October. But with the stamp duty thing and all that, it could be like this for a little bit longer yet. We're waiting to see what happens.
I know you're not an estate agent, but I mean, you are seeing people who want to buy or sell houses. And there was a recent article, I don't know whether you saw it in the Times, talking about Stroud is the best place to live in the whole country.
They're right.
Yeah, as Stroudies, we can confirm that. Does this mean, this is a purely selfish question, does this mean that we're going to see property prices in Stroud go through the roof? I mean, do articles like this actually have an impact on house prices?
Well, you never know, do you? I mean, this is the thing, because the Times name a different place every year as the best place to live. So what happens in the 12 months between? Do they all go downhill? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too cynical, but it's not going to do any harm. I mean, it is coverage for Gloucestershire, for Stroud, and it is a brilliant place to live. I mean, Gloucestershire itself is a brilliant place to be. We're not too far out from getting into cities if we need to. I mean, Birmingham to the north and London, in the southeast and things. So I don't think it's going to do any harm. I think it's just a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling, isn't it, to walk around and think that you're in the area that someone thinks is flavour of the month at that particular month or that particular year. But as I say, will we retain our crown for next year? We'll see. I don't think anyone's done it 2 years in a row, have they?
Westminster and Aberdeen deemed to be the hardest locations to find a buyer. Stirling, Bristol and Glasgow, the best places to be a seller right now. Fact. Really? Wow. I've done a bit of research there. Now, let's talk about our focus today, the self-employed. And, some people have had a really difficult time during the pandemic, during lockdown, having to keep your own books and everything. Some people have fallen through the cracks when it comes to handouts from the government. So if you are self-employed and you want to get on the property ladder this year, what do people who are self-employed need to start thinking about?
Okay, so self-employed, and under that umbrella, we'll take people that work for themselves as a sole trader, or they're limited company directors of their own company, all that kind of stuff, right? It's always been a little bit trickier for those self-employed individuals to get a mortgage, okay? And it always just requires a little bit more forward thinking. Because unlike being employed, if you're going to get a mortgage and employed, a lender's going to say to you, well, let's see your latest couple of months' pay slips. And they work out what you're getting paid, and then that's the number they use to try and work out what they're going to lend to you. With self-employed, they're always looking at the previous set of books. So that could be, in some instances, up to 18 months previous before you go in and walk in and try and get your mortgage. So if you're thinking about buying a house or moving house or remortgaging if you're self-employed, you need to really kind of think ahead and think, okay, what do my books look like now? Where do I need to be? And do that planning bit in first and get to know your numbers, because self-employed, are experts at whatever their field is. That's why they've gone into it. But sometimes the numbers bits, that's why we have accountants. The accountant deals with that. So getting a handle on what your numbers are, and if you're a limited company director, that's things like salary and dividends. If you're a sole trader, it's the net profit, it's the bit you pay your tax on. And just start to organise that data in your mind so you know what it is, and then take it to someone, an independent advisor who can then sit you down and talk you through what you can do with those numbers.
So you need to provide proof of income. And I'm just thinking, people during lockdown who weren't going out and working, and they're self-employed, so they're not going to have any evidence of taking any money. So are you foreseeing some big issues here for some people?
You're right. It's been really tricky, and it's sort of how does a lender underwrite a loan application based on a period where they know businesses weren't trading or businesses weren't trading to their full capacity. So there's a bit of a question mark in the industry about how that's going to happen. It's a question that's sort of been answered only in the last week to quite I think we're all quite shocked. And Santander came out and announced that for self-employed individuals who had suffered, and hadn't traded in the same way over the last tax year, so April 20 to March 21, they were basically going to be able to ignore that and then underwrite from the year previous, so the 1920.
Okay, yeah,
which
that
is
makes
very
sense.
unusual because it's sort of striking a line. So then they're actually looking at figures from nearly 2 years ago. But there's some caveats around that, of course. They're going to sort of strip out any government grants or help or things that have come through that you need to pay back. So if you've taken a loan to help you through the pandemic as a business, they're obviously going to take those payments things off. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more of those kinds of policies coming out from the lenders. They need to think outside the box on this because we've never had it before, and you can't judge the state of a business today based on what happened in a pandemic when you weren't allowed to trade. So we're hopeful they're going to help. But you're right, it has been very tricky for those who haven't worked. Lenders have taken to looking at the latest few months' business bank statements. So that gives some comfort that if the business is still trading, because there's many businesses that are still trading through the pandemic, they can see that money coming through the bank statements, and therefore that gives them a bit of comfort as well. So it's tricky, but hopefully things are going to get easier.
That's fantastic. So you shouldn't lose hope. If you are self-employed, you shouldn't lose hope. There hopefully is some light at the end of the tunnel. Graham, it's lovely to talk to you. Is there anything else that we need to be addressing today, or have we done it all?
Only my technology problems. That's probably about the only thing, but I don't think we can fix that now.
Can't help you with that, mate.
No, that's what I just serves me right for leaving my laptop charged at the office, doesn't it? So, I would say, don't panic. There's lots of options out there if you're self-employed, and get some advice. Thank
you so much. Where can people see your lovely Proxide Mohican if they want to read more about what you do?
Well, this month's Cotswold Life, Faye, actually. But
seriously,
apart from that,
are you in?
Yeah.
Oh,
we're in
get
it. We're in
you
it.
fancy pants.
I made it. We won't be doing this anymore. I'll be, champagne dinners and all that now.
Cheers, mate.
If they go to, you can check out our website, which is hudson-rose.co.uk, and we have our Facebook page and Instagram page. So we have lots of videos and tips and things about mortgages delivered, hopefully, in a down-to-earth, pleasant way that makes it a bit more digestible. So
that's what we like. Graham, thank you so much, and we'll speak again very soon. Graham Taylor from Hudson Rose, mortgage brokers in Nailsworth.